and Unique Enterprises. And that would only be spent if a task order is issued by transit. It's up to 250,000 for this next year. Those are the city's 5 contracts. I'm happy to answer questions you may have.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Carlos Pettis with the Colorado Springs CTAB. I had a question about the wooden bridge over Academy. Just to make sure it's $2.8 million you're asking for maintenance, right? Okay, and the bridge, I believe, is about 14 years old. Is this within the range expected for normal wear and tear, or is this unexpected? I just want to kind of get a sense of where we are with maintenance on this particular bridge, because it's you know, bridges think it's 50-year lifespan, and now we're doing $2.8 million on a bridge that opened in 2011. I just wanted to get a sense, is that normal, expected within?
So some of it's normal and some of it's not. The joint repair and having to go do concrete repair work, that is normal. And you're right, our bridges are going to be in that 50 to 100-year time span, depending on what we're doing. So those parts would be normal treatments. But in this case, we use that PPRTA surface, or that wearing surface, that we know has not performed well for us. We had it in like 4 or 5 different locations around the city.
That's the rubber infused asphalt, right?
Yeah, I recall that on Union Boulevard didn't provide the life expectancy that we had.
Well, and the same thing on Academy last year. I don't know if you recall that we had to go do some emergency patching or temporary paving just to really to get us by till 2C to get in there and do a more robust treatment. So it did not perform well. You know, if those of you have heard my presentation or seen it before, where we have concrete or pavement degradation, it tends to be a gentle curve, and you want to be able to do maintenance to bring it back up. In this case, we started in gentle curve and then we hit a cliff and we fell off of it. So that is requiring a pretty more extensive removal, not just a really resurface treatment, to be able to keep this moving. So anyway, that's
the situation here. It just didn't, the material just did not perform as expected. And so we just have to get it replaced. It's a pretty big amount. You know, my joke is, if you want to really through a budget, get into the bridge business, you know. So bridges are very expensive, and I just wanted to get a sense of, you know, the maintenance required for this particular bridge. But yeah, I'll be supporting this, and I do understand that we have to maintain our bridges. It's a lot of money, but we got to maintain them. Thank you.
Yeah, it's more about the surface on the bridge than it is the structure of the bridge.
We're really not doing anything structurally on this bridge. I mean, the joints need to be replaced periodically. That is more of a routine maintenance for us. The concrete repair, particularly on a major arterial roadway like that, people just hit it, it gets damaged. There's just a couple of things. So that most of that's normal maintenance. It's really that wearing surface and the change we're having to do that are pretty significant. And this epoxy or this polyester concrete or that we're putting on there is actually a more expensive product, that it's intended to have a much longer life. And then if we went through and did another asphalt treatment over it.
Gail, is that polyester stuff the treatment that I think it was CDOT or somebody did over the bridges over Monument Creek down around where Rock Rimmon and Corporate Drive? They treated it with it's not yellow, but it was more of a country.
I'm not 100% sure we use on that. I'll know that some regular bridge maintenance, we've been using an epoxy coating. I would suspect that would be more what CDOT used on their bridges, and we've used that on a few of ours as well.
Okay.
But I don't know. Would you happen to know, Rich, by chance, or the same guess?
Yeah, I would be guessing the same. It happened even before my time as regional director, so I don't know exactly what they put on it.
But that had been really one of the tools. My understanding is that CDOT's been using for bridge maintenance.
Epoxy.
They do an epoxy overlay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that bridge, that scraping that stuff off the surface without damaging the concrete underneath, it's got to be a chore. So.
Yeah, it's a lot of work that we're asking to be done with it, way more than a normal wearing surface for a deck.
Right. Okay. Any other questions or discussions on the city's 5 contracts? Not seeing anybody online. Do I have a motion to approve the city's contracts as presented?
David Z., I would so move.
Thank you, David. Barb, thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, motion carries. Thank you. El Paso County,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jeff Manchester, El Paso County. Before you today, we just have two contracts. First one being a termination of a reimbursement. This is for phase 3 of the Eastonville Corridor project. Just a little background. So in December of 2024, El Paso County and Melody Homes entered into a reimbursement agreement to essentially split the cost of improvements to Eastonville. Since then, Melody Homes has recently informed El Paso County that they are not proceeding with the project till likely 2027 or later. So with that, they also requested to terminate the agreement by convenience. So we are currently looking at other options to deliver the project right now. It may come back later. Right now, we're looking at considering our options. So that's the first item. The second item is essentially an award of design and property acquisition contract for the Woodmore and Lake Woodmore roundabout. It could be possibly a roundabout or a segment. We haven't gone through type selection yet, but these are intersection improvements. The award amount is $599,731 to Alfred Benish and Company, and that's for engineering, design, and property acquisition for the intersection improvements. So the contract essentially will be funded through PPRTA 3 pre-construction program phase 1 account funding. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have on those two items.
that's right there at that roundabout at the park and ride.
Yes, correct.
There isn't a roundabout there yet. It's right.
Oh, the roundabout's further down.
It's
Further
here's
up.
105.
Yeah, I know, but it's over here.
Well, there currently isn't a roundabout there. It's right at the bus entrance to
Yeah,
the park and
okay.
ride.
Okay. It's right above KR13's channel, radio, TV thing, so you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, got it. Any questions? Go ahead, Rick.
So just a quick question about this. It's not necessarily for the property acquisition itself, because it sounds like you haven't even defined the limits yet. It's really define those limits and do the negotiation services, and then
Correct.
we'll likely see another contract for the actual acquisition from the owner. Is that correct?
I believe we've programmed a budget in that we feel will cover our property acquisition. So the event we'd come back is if our property costs are essentially soft costs related to property are higher than originally estimated.
Okay, so this includes an estimate for the actual property itself that's going to be payable to the property owner?
No, sorry, I'm sorry. So this is for consulting costs for
Okay.
for a property acquisition consultant.
Okay.
Any other questions for the county? Okay, Dave.
Hey, Jeff, great overview. Thank you. It's always distressing to see when a development project like this one goes in a direction other than what was intended. And I'm going to support the issue. That's not the question I had. Just give us a little, can you elaborate a little overview as to the bigger picture? What do you think is going here? And while that's interesting, is this possibility of things to come with developments in the county?
Yeah, it's certainly possible. We were quite disappointed to learn that they wanted to essentially terminate the agreement. We felt it was a win-win for the county and the developer to basically split costs and get a project done at a discounted rate. It sounds like just in conversations with the developer, Melody Homes, also DR Horton, that they are essentially kind of holding on the project right now due to some uncertainty internally. So that's kind of all we know. But
This is a DR Horton project.
DR
because they've really made a dramatic change in their strategy for the
Right.
county, I understand.
exactly.
And then bigger picture thoughts about other things to come, like
I mean, we've had some preliminary data just to show that, residential building permits are down by a certain percentage, 15, 20%. But luckily, we don't have too many other reimbursement agreements out there that would be affected. But we have seen a little bit of slowdown, at least on our development review side.
are there other DR Horton ones that we should be concerned about?
I'm not aware of any other DR Horton projects besides that was the only one. That project was called Grandview, or it's still called Grandview, but
Thank you.
Any other questions for the county? Any online? Do I have a motion to approve the county's project request as presented?
So moved, Richard Zamora.
Thank you, Rich.
Larry Tobias, second the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any. Thank you. All right. Member government report. Oh, man, we got, sorry. Green Mountain Falls, no. Rick?
Yes.
No, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's on my schedule and I checked it off already. My bad. Green Mountain Falls, anybody here? Anybody online to cover that? Rick, what do you know about it?
I guess I'm a little confused. Sorry, Mr. Chair, Rick Sonnenberg. I'm a little confused. I'd asked Caleb to be here. As you can see in his memo, sorry for my hesitation, the 56,610 contract for paving and patching with Johnstone Seal Coat. And you can see the locations on the Jared, if you'll scroll up. You can see the locations shown on the estimate by the vendor. So I guess I'm confused as to whether, Caleb, are you online by any chance? No.
I'm saying.
50-50 coin toss. I don't know whether or not to delay this to next month or go ahead and ask the CAC to approve this. I'll ask the CAC to go ahead and approve a positive recommendation for this contract.
Any questions or concerns? If anybody's got concerns, we'll put it off. If the documentation is satisfactory to you, we'll throw it to a vote. So any concerns by anybody other than what you've read? Okay, not Rick, Dave?
Just guessing this is probably for this construction season. So I guess the only concern I would have, and it's awkward for us without having an advocate for this here in the room, is we probably ought to approve it so that it doesn't hold up this year's construction season. This is July already, hard to believe. See what I'm saying there? This is an August, September project. So if we delay it, it may throw it out by a year.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that as well. Not seeing any other comments or concerns. So based on what you have in your packet and they've read, do I have a motion to approve Manitou Springs project as presented? Say again, I mean, Green Falls, sorry. Thanks, Mark. A long week. A motion to approve Green Mountain Falls. Anybody?
Carlos Perez, Colorado Springs in town, make a motion to approve the contract for Green Mountain Falls.
Yes.
$56,000.
Anybody have?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any online or in the room, it'll carry. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, on that, if I may, just encourage the sponsors of future projects like this to do their very best to either pass word to the committee so we don't have to, this is kind of pin the tail on the donkey at this point. There may be something here that may come up, but really strongly like to encourage those to be present for either remotely or physically here in the room.
Agree. I absolutely agree. Okay. All right. We'll go to item number 7, member governments and other reports. Colorado Springs Transit. Lan,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thanks for being here.
Lan Rail Transit Division Manager. In your packet today is Transit's regular monthly report. Under the leadership section, we're very happy to see a 6.4% increase from May of this year compared to the same period of time last year. I would like to jump all the way ahead to our transit highlights section. We included an item that is still in the process of drafting the IGA and getting final approval from Colorado Springs City Council. But we would like to share this information with the CAC and the board at this point. we went to Mantua Springs City Council, three city council meetings in May, and I think some of our CAC members were also present. We talked about, we normally go through, this is a regular process that we have developed with Mantua Springs during our service change to gather feedback specifically from Mantua Springs community. And there had been a longstanding request that Mantua Springs has had to provide free rides between Mantua Springs and the Safeway on 32nd Street. So that had been a request for a number of years. As you know, MMT operates a fare charging system, meaning the riders will need to pay a fare to ride a bus, and that fare revenue provides a very important source for our operating budget. So it is very difficult without that fare revenue to be put back into operating. However, we do have an agreement with Mantua Springs to provide free rides, and Mantua Springs pays into our system in order to meet requirement. So the request from Mantua Springs was to provide free fare from Mantua Springs to that Safeway on a different route, in addition to Mantua Springs shuttles. We had looked into different options, including having part of the bus route be free for residents within Mantua Springs municipality area, and the other passengers would have to pay. And we gathered feedback from our operators, our operational folks, and there were a lot of concerns from equity to confusion to enforcement for drivers. So in the end, that was not an option we could move forward. Then we brought up a different option. How about we enter into a bus pass purchase agreement with Mantua Springs? The Mantua Springs could purchase and distribute, but that is a very heavy logistical undertaking to verify, are you a resident, are you a visitor? And Mantua Springs in the end did not opt for that option either. So this is the option that we presented to Mantua Springs in May. It is a new concept for Mountain Metro. We've never done this before, and this is the first time. We call it fare buy up model. What this model does is we looked at our ridership for Route 3. Route 3 operates from between Colorado Springs bus terminal all the way to Mantua Springs across Old Colorado City on Colorado Avenue. So it is one of the top 5 ridership route. It provides a lot of connection to very busy destination in Mantua Springs, downtown Springs, and Old Colorado City. So we looked at the ridership and looked at the zip code along that bus route. So in the end, we came up with about a quarter of the ridership in Mantua Springs and 3/4 in Colorado Springs. We worked with the City of Colorado Springs Parking Enterprise, managed by Gail, and also worked with Mantua Springs to come up with a 3-way agreement. In this agreement, we calculated the ridership. We used our system fare box recovery ratio. We also estimated the ADA demand within each jurisdiction and came up with a cost share proposal for Mantua Springs to reimburse Mountain Metro on our lost revenue, and city's parking enterprise will reimburse us for the lost fare revenue within Colorado Springs boundary. So that was the proposal that we brought to City of Mantua Springs in May, and we received unanimous approval from Mantua Springs. And currently, we're in the middle of drafting the IGA, being reviewed by multiple parties. We go to City of Colorado Springs, the City Council for final approval. But since we went to Mantua Springs, we've been getting a lot of phone calls from the public, questions from the media, because those are open meetings. So we thought we will share what we are working on, even if it's not a final product yet. I would like to share this with PAC and the board at this point. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody else? I got a question. Somebody else does. So you're going to provide free service for Manitou downtown?
To
And
Colorado Springs
to-
starting March 2026. as
Okay,
proposed.
and the lost revenue from that will be reimbursed by Manitou's parking enterprise and the city of Colorado Springs parking.
By City of Manitou Springs and Colorado Springs Parking Enterprise.
Okay. Sound like a good deal. Yes, sir.
I'll just throw in one comment because this actually came to the Manitou Mobility and Transportation Board as well. Manitou has struggled quite a bit with the free shuttles. I know they've tried to do the 36 shuttle on Manitou Avenue to get hotel traffic and visitors into downtown, and the ridership on that hasn't been what we've wanted. And so I think kind of it's moving. They're going to get rid of that 36 shuttle, and now this 3, since it'll be free fare, it's going to fit visitors, tourists, and then the normal users as well. And so it's a fantastic concept. I'm really excited to see it implemented.
Thank you. Parking is a big challenge for Manitou Springs as well as in Old Colorado City.
Right.
And that's really why the city's parking enterprise is able to contribute into this model. And working with Manitou Springs and Parking Enterprise, we actually realized this could potentially also help with the event parking in Manitou Springs during summer, because people can now park in City of Colorado Springs parking garages on the weekend and take the bus all the way to Manitou Springs.
So we can get to the bed races without the hassle.
Yes.
Coffin.
Coffin races, that's right. Yeah, coffin races. Manitou's never missed an excuse to have a parade and a party, so that's a good thing.
Please park in Colorado Springs and come visit.
Any questions for Lan on the transit report?
Land will that route for the bus specifically be identified in some way?
Well, that's another thing that we've been working on with Manitou Springs and Parking Enterprise. We're looking at how we could maybe brand it in a way that folks can easily identify this is the route, just like the ZEB or 33. This could go all the way from Colorado Springs to Manitou Springs, and it's free.
So would it be a dedicated bus that
Could be
used
a wrap,
or
could be a logo, could be a
Right.
different color. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that particular bus wouldn't be used elsewhere in the city,
Um,
or could it?
we hope we could designate these buses for these routes only, but in reality, there might be times that we have to rotate them in the system depending on the fleet situation. But for the most part, we would like to designate those buses for these routes.
Well, I guess on a good note, if they're out at other parts of the city, that's good advertising,
Advertising, yeah.
good advertising for the Manitou thing, so. David?
Land, a great, very innovative initiative here, and I'm thrilled to be able to support it. Help the board understand the financial calculation. For example, is there an escalator in this? And again, congratulations to you, whole staff, 6% increase in transit. We are charging fares. I can't wait to see what the numbers look like when you aren't charging fares. Congratulations on that. Walk us through that, because what I'm wondering about is the delta, so to speak. So let's say that there's a $10 million overall cost to run the system, and when you appropriate or you proportion that out, walk us through how you calculate that so I can get comfortable with both the escalator. There should be one, I presume, in there. There should be probably an allowance for, I don't know what that is, for the free fare months when you have them, and then hopefully paying the full the fully loaded cost, not just the incremental cost. That's what I want to hear.
That's a great question. Well, we do anticipate an increased number of ridership. By using the ridership as the base for the calculation, we're basically calculating, okay, this is the share for Route 3, and this is share for parking and Manitou Springs to reimburse us. We are drafting the IGA in the way that it is a 1-year IGA, pending future year amendments. So each year when we do update that amendment, we will use the updated ridership and also the updated system fare box recovery ratio. So at that point, so even if we're not building an escalator in there, there is a cost escalator every year based on the actual ridership from the previous years.
And then, yeah, so walk us through, so you'll build them on a per rider basis, or is it a flat estimate?
Per rider basis.
Rider, okay, so,
We'll update that each year.
that's okay.
But we do anticipate the ridership will increase significantly.
Oh, sure. So you're on the winning end of that calculation, hopefully.
I think it's a win-win.
Okay, Ralph?
All right. Any other questions for Lan? I think you're doing a great job, Lan, and making the best out of what we have at the moment. So
Thank you. This is a great partner.
good, very, I agree with Dave, a very innovative way to address the needs of a community that does have a parking issue. Because in the summer and the peak of stuff, it's a bummer to try to find a place down there. So
Mr. Chairman, I would just recommend that once this is enacted, that we all take an opportunity to try it out.
yeah,
And come see how this works in particular. We can ride together.
we'll have a meet and greet downtown and take a ride out to Manitou for the coffin races. Or the whatever parade it was this week or whatever. I love it. It's great. I going out there, take kids out there and just watching crazy people walk down the street. So I love it.
Zing.
You can see it in Manitou. That's for damn sure.
We know how to enjoy ourselves.
I get it. That's why I go. All right. Thanks, Lynn. All right. City of Colorado Springs monthly change order and property acquisition report. It's in your packet. Any questions for Gail or anybody? Okay, I will move on. The pound update. Gail, you got anything you want to emphasize?
I just want to point out that it's in your packet. The total is up to $20.47 million with 19.2 million of it attributed to PPRTA. I will point on the first page of that memo, but the fourth line down, we did assign some additional costs to Colorado Springs Utilities. So at $73,134.31. So that's another credit back to the PPRTA and future obligations. And I'm happy to answer questions if there are any.
That intersection up north is nice. I can't wait to start connection on the rest of it. Larry?
Gail, when will PPRTA actually make a reimbursement to?
We said in March of this year.
All right, let me ask you another question. Do we need to add a column to this particular report showing how much has been reimbursed back to Copper Ridge? And which month? You know, just like what you're doing right here. Because right now it doesn't show that we've even made any reimbursements on this $20 million.
Rick and I can chat about that. That might be a little bit more difficult. I keep track of what's being spent. I don't have direct control over how they're reimbursed, but I have worked with Rick and Lisa on a schedule on what the reimbursement is for this year. We have a plan for next year as well.
And I have been delivered to Coverage's CPA, the consulting CPA, Lamont, for $1.215 million checks, March, April, May, June, $1,215,000 each check.
Four.
March, April, May, June.
4 checks of $1,215,000 each.
Oh, okay. Well, like I say, well, and I can ask you, Rick, whether we should be showing that as part of this report so that we can, you know, see that there is being reimbursements back.
Or is it being captured on Lisa's report on our financials?
I did not see it in there unless I missed it.
It should be shown on the project and what's expended. Let me look.
But it's not what Gail reported, it's what Lisa's paid out, right? That's the-
Yeah.
On page 5 of the financial report, I could figure out what page is in your packet. Or that last page is Lisa's financial report. On the third line down, what's been paid out at court was $3.4 million from the city. And then to go down to the county area, it shows that the county has 1.0333 333. The totals come from, because remember, 70% comes from the city, the other 30% comes from the county. So the project is on there 2 times.
And which page is that on?
Well, it's on page 5 of the financial report. Okay, now that's up on the screen. It is, what page is this, Jared? Could 15 of the PDF? So page 15 of the PDF, the third row down, it says Powers Extension. This is in the cities area.
So,
Where, and I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong number. I read the budget to date versus the actual. So the actual from the city, as of this report, was $2,746,660. We go down to the counties section on the same page, towards the end of their list. Jared, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down.
Powers extension, yeah.
Powers Extension is listed there.
And 0 by the county so far.
Which seems odd because they are paying 30% of it, so we may. That is it's not, then just applied to the wrong line item, or wrong part. So anyway, you would see it reflect going out on the financial report, so we can work with it to make that adjustment, so you can sit on that line item.
Okay, yes, I think it's important that we, because of the nature of how we're doing this is maybe odd to those uninformed of how we're doing it. And that the contractor and that group is paying everything and then we're reimbursing them is just a little odd in my book. So just being able to account for it and know where it is. So if somebody asks, we can point them to it. So that's the thing about it. All right. Any other questions?
Thank you, Gail.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the county's change order and property acquisition report. Any questions? Okay, seeing none and none online. Item number 8, report of board activities, recent board actions. In your report, any comments or questions from that? Okay. Discuss amended rules establishing technology accessibility standards and approval of resolution adopting revised technology. Mr. Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. State legislature approved House Bill 21-1110 back in 2021, which required the Colorado Office of Information Technology, I'll use the acronym of OIT, to establish rules regulating information technology systems, accessibility standards for individuals with disabilities. Recently, the state OIT finalized its rules on May 9 of 2025 this year. They were reviewed by PPRTA Board Attorney Jennifer Ivey and her law office team. They summarized the actions of the legislature and the office and the OIT in the attachment memorandum dated June 10 with a recommendation to the CAC and the board that the board adopt a resolution which includes as attachments an updated technology accessibility statement, updating the that currently have the board approved and is posted on the website, and an accessibility plan, both of which under the state law and the rules reflecting the state law had to be posted on the PPRTA website before July 1. So the deadline was last Monday. So with Jared, with consultation with Jennifer Ivey, the board attorney, posted the updated statement and the new accessibility plan on the website last week on the 25th. So we're asking CAC to approve a positive recommendation to the board for what's already been posted because it had to meet the July 1 deadline.
Any questions on David?
Mr. Chair, I do. Rick, good overview as always. Concerns I have this, and I know it's state law. I know we've got to it, and Eagle's fabulous attorney. I agree with his opinion. The questions I have is this feels like an unfunded mandate from the state. Maybe you can argue with it. It's not. I think it's unfunded. It's Exhibit A in the unfunded mandates category. What I was trying to struggle to find is, well, what's the cost and benefit? And I'm talking not about the subjective benefits. Certainly, I'm all for accessibility of all Coloradans to be able to access records. That's not where I'm going. My question is what's the likely value and what's the probable range of cost to do this? If it's $100,000 and 3 people a year will spend 5 minutes looking at it, I'd like that to maybe be part of the record that I'm not sure it's falls within the reasonability of what we're asked to do. So it's not meant to be a loaded question, struggling to understand cost benefit of this initiative.
Well, if Jared wishes to approach the podium, I think the only hard number we're going to have is a line item charge on Jennifer Ivey's, the board attorney Jennifer Ivey's next bill to us. That'll be because she'll undoubtedly identify that. So we'll know that hard number, but anything else for the future, I'll yield Jared.
All righty, good afternoon, PPRTA CAC. Jared Werner, primary job is on the PPACG side, has public policy and communications, but in this setting, webmaster and accessibility extraordinaire, for lack of better terms. And so to answer your question about hard costs, I mean, there's a range, and we've looked at pricing on what it would take to do it, and it easily runs 6 figures. And that's,
I'm sorry, easily run 6 figures?
yes. There's an undue burden part, and so that's essentially what us and pretty much every other government agency in the state is doing. To back up a little bit, this is basically a state rules to enforce federal rules. It makes it a state civil rights violation for violating, it's called Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act, is what a lot of these rules are based off of. The federal government is actually going through the similar process at the current state right now, and several entities. Colorado is ahead of the game because Colorado has now adapted its rules to the federal rules. And so I know nationally, this is a conversation that is happening as well. In terms of the actual cost that we are spending is primarily staff time on my end. And so, I mean, I charge that to the PPRTA to account for that. It is not in 6-figure range. I know that. I wish it was personally, but that would not be I think we would agree that would probably not be the best use of funds when this money could go in other places. We prioritize in terms of what needs to be remediated and when. The really nice thing about the new state rules that took effect yesterday, as you might have noticed on the current PPRTA website, which we changed last year in anticipation of these rules, we pretty much started from a brand new website. So anything pre-July 1, 2024 is not on our website right now. The new state rules do allow, as long as it's marked as archive, to be able to repost that documentation. without it needing to be remediated on the front end. And I use remediate as a way for what needs to be done to be compliant. We are going to take advantage of that option so that we can actually have historical data back on our website, which we didn't before. A big part of this rule, very similar to the general concept of the ADA, is continual progress. And I think we can easily demonstrate continual progress in meeting accessibility standards. Switching to a new website last year, that was a major to showing progress and making our content more accessible. As I mentioned last year when we were going through this process, a lot of the bulk of the remediation of compliance steps are done behind the scenes. And so it's a lot of what I call foundational stuff on a house. You don't see it, but if it's not good, the rest of it really doesn't do a whole lot of good. And so it's a lot of like coding menus and headings and buttons appropriately. Stuff that if you don't have a disability, you're not going to notice. But if you use a screen reader to access a website, you will notice. And just because a screen reader will send it to you in certain coding, and if it's not coded the right way on our end, it's next to worthless users. A very long answer to kind of give some background on what we've been doing up to this point. But yeah, just a short answer to your question, primarily staff time, and making changes as I can within our current scope.
Go ahead, Barb.
My sense of this, if you reflect on history, I think some of the exposure, Dave, will be bad actors. That's where the exposure will be. If you think back, I can speak to the credit union industry when we were obligated to make changes to ATMs and other front-facing devices. You then get bad actors that go around entities, cities, counties, departments, and say, you didn't do this right, and file a claim. So to me, that's the insidious cost exposure of this regulation, that it will bring some of that to the forefront.
But go ahead, Dave.
No, we're in violent agreement, unfortunately, for all the wrong reasons. And I agree with everything you've said. And the six-figure cost, I think, is not astonishing, but it's really unfortunate. My question, I guess, would be back to benefit and cost. And Barb, you're absolutely right. The cost for this, if we don't do it, is pick a number. It's a seven-figure number if we get sued. I totally understand that. Are you able to track the number of hits, the number of people that are actually using the technology that we're forced to implement?
So not level. So we can track how many people are coming, and we can track by a lot of technology things. But based on a disability status, that is not one that I'm aware of. We use Google Analytics for our tracking software, and I have not seen that particular category identified in analytics. Only because my assumption is because a lot of screen readers are third-party programs, so it's not directly interacting with the browser in terms of it's not loading a different version of the website. It's just interacting with the current version, but it's using that built-in code in order to work properly. A little bit to the cost risk, and Barb kind of mentioned it. We do have that there are 5 ways to be compliant. We're using 2 of them. 2 of the 5 options. We only need to meet 1 of them. But that allows us a little bit of protection. At the end of the day, if for some reason that someone was successful in a claim against us, the state outlined a $3,500 per violation per plaintiff fee. And so probably a little bit to Barb's point, you have to be a member of that class in order to file the fee or to file a complaint. But all of a sudden, one person sees it, they get 10 of their friends, that's $35,000 for a single violation.
Pretty sweet deal. It's like the people go into a restroom and file a lawsuit because the grab bar is 3/4 of an inch too low, and they get a $10,000 payout.
Yeah. The other downside is not easy to measure, but it's the lack of availability of information to the mass majority of the public that we've had to take off of the website. All the good work that we've done, all the documentation that's taken place. It would be cost prohibitive to convert all of that stuff over time. And so that is no longer available unless somebody takes the opportunity, and correct me if I'm wrong, can make a request for some specific data that doesn't have to be changed. Is that right, Jared? If something's not on the website and I want a copy of it, I can submit a request to get that information.
Currently, right now, yes. With the new rule that went into effect yesterday, anything before July 1 of last year can be posted as long as it's marked as archived. And that's what we're planning to do, just to get a lot of that historical data back
up there,
online.
back up
Yeah.
there. Okay.
So you could argue we're more accessible and we're less transparent. There's less information available.
Yes,
True, false?
yes.
It's crazy.
Just to remind the CAC, Board Attorney Jennifer Ivey has stated several times the nuclear option, which is there's no requirement to have a website.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I think that is 180 degrees away from the direction that we have tried to go with PPRTA since day one. And that is, and especially here as a Citizens Advisory Committee, our commitment is to the citizens to make sure that the RTA as an organization is doing what the voters ask it to do and be transparent. And so the nuclear option in my book's not an option.
Certainly.
So, okay. Thank you, Jared. Thanks for that update. Dave, that answer your question?
It does. I'll be, I'm sorry, is this an action item? Or is this
No,
info item?
no.
Thank goodness, because I'd be voting against.
I guess we do need to make a recommendation here to the board to approve what's already in effect. So does somebody want to make a recommendation to approve the policy as we've been discussing? Thanks, Bart. Second. Thanks, Kathy. Anybody else? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. All right. Item 8C, draft revision to board policy 8, contract cover sheet.
At the last meeting, Carlos asked for the contract cover sheet to be revised to show PPRTA 2 and PPRTA 3 capital project listed in the lower left corner of page 1. So we've done that, and since the cover sheet is the requirement under board policy 8, we have to revise board policy 8 to revise the contract cover sheet. Recommend the CAC approve a positive recommendation to the board.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
No.
No.
Do we have a motion?
I was just trying to make up for time. Do I have a motion to approve?
Carlos Perez, Colorado Springs Tabs, I'd like to motion that we approve the changes here to board policy, include PPRTA 2 and 3 distinction there on the primary.
Do I have a second? Kathy, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Guys called me again. All right. All right. 8D, staff review. Rick, any questions for Rick?
Just an information item.
Any questions for Rick? Don't see any. Okay. 9, topics for next meeting. Anybody got anything burning that we need to put on the agenda? Gail?
I apologize. I have a communication. I got so excited. I didn't want that meeting to end.
Oh, well, I guess we could find something to talk about. No.
Well, I just didn't want you to adjourn. I do have an announcement. I'm sorry. I'll just wait till you get
Go
to that
ahead.
after the
Go ahead.
topics. We've been talking about Powers Boulevard. We are going to have our first in a series of public meetings on July 17th at 5:30 p.m. at Discovery Canyon. The focus is going to be mostly about the noise study that is going on, but there is going to be an overview of the overall project and talk about the timeline. So if you're interested in participating, we'd love to have you join us at 5:30 on July 17th at Discovery Canyon. It's from 5:30 to 7. It's going to start with a brief presentation by yours truly, and then open house, where we'll have boards and staff members and team members there to discuss the project. And then I'll have to wear a bag over my head to go home from here on out for the next 5 years.
All right, any questions? Thanks, Gil. All right, if there are no other communications issues, your time, I appreciate it, and we'll call it adjourned. Thank you. Wow. Hey.